Terrorist bombings in Weehawken and Union City last weekend have again focused attention on the tortured politics of the Cuban communities in those cities. The incidents appear to be grounded in patriotism and fear, and reporter Jack Connerty tries to sort that out for us.
There's very little evidence on the surface here in Union City of the tensions and anxieties that surround this Cuban community. Yet beneath this placid surface, there's a strain of violence, of terrorism, that's dividing the community against itself. It will surface unexpectedly, as it did last weekend when bombs were exploded here at the Cuban Refugee Program headquarters in Weehawken and the El Almacen Pharmacia in Union City. The anti-Castro terrorist group Omega 7 has taken responsibility for both blasts. The targets were doing business with Communist Cuba, an activity Omega 7 opposes at all costs. The FBI says this group is linked to Omega 7. These are members of the Cuban nationalist movement. Its president, Armando Santana, denies that his group is responsible. The two suspects identified by the FBI, Jose Suarez and Virgilio Paz, are both members of the nationalist movement, and both are wanted on charges relating to the murder of former Chilean ambassador Orlando Letelier. But Santana says they are being framed.
It's completely illogical for anybody who's supposedly running from justice to be going around, setting bombs. They are members of the Cuban nationalist movement. We do not deny that.
But they are not members of Omega 7.
We deny any association, and we, like I said, we challenge Mr. Foley or the FBI to prove so or prove that we are members of Omega 7.
But Santana will not condemn the bombings or any activity he says is aimed at hurting those who actively sympathize with Fidel Castro or provide him with economic support. Some of the men in this room, including Santana, have criminal records.
I do not have a criminal record. I have what I call a patriotic record, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay, which involves what?
I was one of the alleged participants in the 1976 bombing of the Academy of Music, where they held the pro-Castro rally in Lower Manhattan. I think it was on 14th Street.
Most Cubans here are uncomfortable with the bombings, even as they sympathize with the cause.
Well, violence for me, it's out of the question. I have grown up with one who has been sought out by the FBI, and this particular person will give his shirt off his back to help you. He is not a killer, and I don't believe any of these other people are killers. They are fighting for a cause which they believe is right.
But it's businesses like these in Union City that provide financial support for the nationalist movement. Some say willingly, some say through extortion by the nationalists. But that extortion can be more emotional than physical, playing to the patriotism of these Cubans, many of whom have close relatives still living on the island. It's as if they must choose between family ties and nationalism, and it creates tensions that continue to grow.
If 100 and so many passengers were killed, if this and this, if we're going to go into ifs and not into facts, I could say if the United States had backed us up in the Bay of Pigs, we wouldn't be in exile for 20 years.
In Union City, I'm Jack Connerty.